Hi guys, I know it's been a little bit of time since my last video, but I have a legitimate excuse. We did not have internet here for 2 months, so no thanks to Starlink, but finally they've corrected the issue, so got internet again, so now I'm finally able to make this video for you guys. In my last video, I talked about how Lois, our alpine goat, has a precocious udder. And since that time, her sister, her half-sister, Marge, also now has a precocious udder. So now I have 2 goats giving me lots and lots of milk. And the best way I have found to make use of that milk is to turn it into soap. So as promised, here is a video on how I make goat milk soap. Before I actually get into the soap making, I want to quickly go over what I've got spread out here on my countertop in case you're totally new to the soap making process. So right in front of me here, I have my frozen goat milk cubes. And the reason why we freeze them is so that when I add the lye to the goat milk, it doesn't scorch it. It doesn't turn it orange or make it smell bad. You cannot make cold processed soap without lye. So that's why we're using it. And then over this way, I have 3 separate bowls with 3 separate containers or small glass containers of my different essential oil and botanical blends. I have over here to my right, you can't see it, but my giant pot of oils that are warming up behind me. And so I will be making 4 different types of soap from one master batch. So I'm going to master batch my soap and then pour off portions of it into these mixing bowls and mix in the essential oil and botanical blends. So today we're making our Lavender Lullaby soap, Timber Trail, Citrus Sunrise, and Minty Mist. So 4 different types of soap today. Okay, so let's get started. So I realized in my little intro there but I made it sound like I was only making 3 batches of soap because I said the 3 bowls to my left. But the 4th batch of soap is made right in the master batch pot. So yeah, we are making 4 loaves of soap today. So here I am adding the lye to the frozen goat's milk. And as you'll be able to see here in a few moments, the lye heats up the frozen goat's milk and melts everything down into a liquid. I decided to obviously speed up this entire soap making process quite a bit because if I didn't, you guys would be watching a very long video. So here I am making sure that I'm getting every last bit of lye into my solution because ingredient amounts are really important in soap making. Checking my temperature, you can see I'm at 99.5 now. That's a little bit warmer than I would prefer. So I went off to the left here to get a cool water bath to place my lye solution in to help it to cool down a little bit. If I stay under 100 degrees, I'm usually good with the milk, not turning orange or scorching or anything like that. So I was definitely pushing the limit there, but you can see the temperature's already coming down. Yeah, it's better if I stay around the 90s. Anything, 105 to 110, you're definitely going to start to see orange milk. So here's the master batch of oils in my large pot, and I'm going to add kaolin clay to the oils and then incorporate that clay into the oil mixture with my blender. And now we're going to check the temperature of the oils, which is about 120 degrees, which is pretty typical for me when I make soap. And then I always strain my lye and milk mixture as it goes into the oils, just to make sure that there are no lumps and bumps, any undissolved lye. You can see there is a little lump there, so that's why it's important to strain. Even if I wasn't using goat's milk for soap, I would still strain my lye mixture. It's just an extra step for safety. You might have noticed the flower seeds and energy drink pop into the screen there. My husband picked up a few supplies for me. And now we start the process of blending our lye mixture in with our oils. And this process for me typically takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. I have a fairly slow moving recipe, and it's a lot of blending with the actual blender and then turning it off and just using the stick to stir. So you kind of alternate between blending and stirring until you reach what's known as the emulsion, where the lye is combining with the oils. And then what we're ultimately looking for is known as trace. And you can see I'm checking my blender when I lift it up there to see if I'm reaching trace, which is a very thin pudding-like consistency to the batter. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. That's when I know that I can start to add my essential oils and botanicals and pour off into my molds. So the way I do this process is I keep a scale beside me with a separate mixing bowl, and I will weigh off a portion of the batter into that bowl, and then I will add in my essential oils, which here I'm making minty mist, and blend that all together. Minty mist does accelerate quite a bit, so that's why I do it first. So you can see the batter here is getting very thick very quickly, so I always mix that batch up first and get it into the mold ASAP. This would be a difficult bar of soap, I think, to make in large quantities, just because it does accelerate so quickly. So kind of this system that I've developed of just pouring off my batter into smaller bowls allows me to make a variety of soap without having to worry about the entire batch accelerating. And now I am working on Timber Trail. So same process really, just pouring off a portion of the batter into the smaller mixing bowl, adding my essential oils and botanicals, and then pouring it into the mold. I realized with this batch I overestimated the amount of batter that I would need, so I'm ending up with some soap batter left over in these bowls after pouring them into the mold, and I do fill my molds all the way to the top. So I was trying to increase my bar size, so I increased my batch size, and I just increased it a little too much. So I increased it by, I believe, 10% when I made this soap today. And in reality, I only needed to increase it by 6%. So I've adjusted the weights since then. The soap that I'm pouring here is Citrus Sunrise, which is honestly one of my favorites. I just love the way the orange and grapefruit essential oil smells. And then the last soap I'm making, like I said earlier, I just mix it all together in my master batch pot. And this is a Lavender Lullaby, by the way. And then I will just use the pot itself and pour that into the mold. The only difficult thing about working with a big pot is you have to make sure you scrape those sides down to get every ounce of soap batter. And that is the process. That is how we do 4 different loaves of soap at one time. And now here we are the following day, and we are unmolding our soap from the silicone molds. This process is fairly easy. You just have to make sure that you don't dent the soap as you work it free from the mold. And after I've gotten it free, I will take a small knife and just trim down the sides and make sure that the edges are nice and clean. If there's any excess lumps and bumps. This particular bar here, I think I poured a little bit too much on top. That's why I kind of shaved down. Then I'll take a ruler, place it on top of the soap, and just place some tiny marks on there at 1-inch increments as a guide for me when I'm cutting the soap. And I do cut by hand with a, I believe it's called a crinkle cutter or a wave cutter, just because I really like the design. I just think it makes the soap kind of unique looking. Each bar of soap will weigh 4 ounces after it's been cured. And we cure for 4 weeks before the soaps are sent off to be sold in their retail store homes. I thought it might be fun for you to see the shelves that I use to cure my soaps after I make them. I did a quick rough estimate count, came up to about 468 bars of soap are currently on these shelves. So yeah, this is where I cure them. And if you can hear that noise behind me, that's the dehumidifier that we have running back here, and that helps the soaps to cure and get nice and dry before they are sent off to be sold. And last but not least, I thought I would show you guys a lather test of my soap bars, because I feel like that's always fun to see. You know, it's one thing to make a pretty bar of soap, and it's another thing to have a really well formulated bar of soap that lathers well, that feels moisturizing, and all that wonderful stuff. So I have a bar of soap sitting here. This one's been used quite a bit. It's been sitting by my kitchen sink. So this is my standard recipe, and I'll show you how it lathers. Got nice big wonderful bubbles. That was really important to me, to have a recipe that had a lot of lather, just because who doesn't like a big bubbly lather? That's also nice and moisturizing. Look at those bubbles, they're just popping off. How about that? I think we're gonna end the video there. I hope you enjoyed that. No, it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but I thought it would be just fun to show you what I'm doing with all the goat milk that I've been getting. If anyone is interested in purchasing a bar of soap from me, maybe just leave a comment. I'm not planning on really selling a whole lot online, at least at this time. Currently I'm wholesaling to local stores in my area, but if you would like to purchase a bar to try, I can certainly make that happen for you. So just leave a comment if you're interested, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.